Welcome to a new episode. It's your boy Coach Shine Palms. Today we're going to be talking about how to have a smaller waist or how to keep your waist tight. Okay, we're going to go over pretty much 4 steps as to how to accomplish this thing. And this is obviously something a lot of people want, right? You want a smaller waist, you want to have a nice core, really good abs looking. You don't want that protruding stomach. Being an ex-CrossFit athlete, this is something that's very common with CrossFit athletes. You'll see like that turtle shell ab and their stomach almost kind of protrudes. It almost looks like they're pregnant to a certain extent, even though you can see really good definition everywhere. And that happens because we're, as CrossFit athletes, really bracing your core with heavier lifts. And so naturally you're going to be pushing your core out into your stomach, into your obliques, into your low back to create a really stable position while you're performing these things. And so because of that, you're constantly pushing out, pushing out, pushing out. It protrudes, and longer you do that, the more and more you do that, you kind of end up with something that eventually looks like that. And so because of that, I've had that issue as well. I have to reverse that. And I've been doing a really good job at doing so. And I'm going to explain kind of like some of the foundation and principles as to how to go about it. So also, none of this is really proven, so on and so forth, but it's more anecdote than anything. Okay. So, I actually don't even want to show you all 4. Let's go step 1. Okay. You have to be lean. So if you're not lean, you're not going to have a small waist, right? A lot of people will come to me and be like, how do I have abs? I'm like, you need to lose 30 pounds, right? And that's the truth. If you have fat on your body, it's not going to look good no matter what. So you're going to have to go into a deficit and, go into a controlled one, like I always talk about. And what you'll do is measure at the beginning and then measure it at the end, and you'll see that your waist does just naturally get smaller, and that's what you're going to need to be able to do. Okay. So that's step 1, really simple. But if you're already lean, let's talk about it, right? All right. So step 2 is going to be eating foods that don't bloat you. So foods that agree with you. Okay. So the reason for this is because when you have, once again, foods mainly that don't agree well and cause bloating, you're protruding your stomach. It's pushing out against the skin, okay? And the longer and longer your body does that, the more it's going to naturally just sit like that. And so therefore, something you really want to be able to do is find foods that don't cause that bloating. So like for me, for example, a large majority of my food is very much the same because I know it agrees with me, right? There are certain foods that I eat that are going to cause my stomach to hurt. I'm going to look extremely bloated, and we don't want that. So for a really easy example, it's like Brussels sprouts. Like I can't eat Brussels sprouts without my stomach absolutely killing me. Not that I like Brussels sprouts. I just know that that's a factor. Okay. Another thing is like a lot of people love fiber, which is great. Fiber has some definitely really good benefits as the literature supports. However, you only need so much, and fiber is going to slow down digestion. And when you slow down digestion, the food's going to sit in your stomach for longer periods of time. If it sits in your stomach for longer periods of time and it's protruding out on your stomach, you have a massive meal and that thing just sitting in there, once again, it's going to protrude out. And so for that reason, I'm utilizing foods that digest relatively fast and don't cause that bloating and slowing down of digestion. So you got to find what foods that you really like and also agree with you. And then I would just mainly stick to them, right? I'm not having meals eaten out that are super high in sodium as well, because that can be an issue. So making sure that your diet is locked is going to be very beneficial for those reasons and finding those foods. All right. Step 3, training vacuums. Okay. So vacuum training is a type of exercise essentially where you suck in your stomach as hard as you possibly can. There's going to be many levels as to how to progress this exercise, but the very basic one is just laying on the floor. You lay down, you take a big breath in, you exhale all the air out of you, and then you pull your waist in and your stomach in as high as you possibly can. You want to be thinking about getting your stomach almost to your rib cage and getting that thing as small as possible. So you're going to be training the transverse abdominals, which is that very bottom part of your core. And that I have seen drastic improvement since doing that. Right? You probably saw the title of this show with the picture of me. My waist never has looked better since I've started utilizing this and the next thing I'm going to talk about. So when you're doing these, you want to hold for like 15 to 20 seconds, rest about 20 seconds, and then do that for maybe 10 rounds. My the two things you have to do is do it often. You can't do it like once a week. That's not going to work. Almost every single day. And I would personally recommend doing this thing fasted in the morning, okay? Because there's no food in your stomach, so it's going to be easier for you to pull it in. If you have a big meal and then try doing vacuums, like that's just a recipe for disaster. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you can do it no matter what, if you have food or not. But doing it fasted is definitely the best way to practice when you first start this thing, and probably most of the time, to be fully honest. Okay. Now, last one. This one seems really gimmicky, but I promise it has made a big difference for me, and that is using a waist trainer. Now, a lot of people will say this is complete garbage, but I'll tell you from my personal experience and other people I've talked to, this does help. And the reason for that is, once again, when you have a belt pulling you in, your stomach can't protrude out. Okay. And so it's not comfortable to do, but I wear it a large majority of the day. I'm even wearing it right now. Okay. And the best time to be wearing it also is when you're having those meals, because your stomach is going to want to push out if that's something that's natural for it to do. And it's not going to be able to. It's going to keep everything nice and tight. And in fact, this is a lot of information, but helped improve my bowel movements at the same time, which is very interesting. So you'll notice it when you take it off, your stomach looks smaller. Like, you'll see it, guaranteed. Now, that's just a small short-term effect, right? That's not going to stay like that forever. But in my opinion, if you consistently do that day after day for months on end and potentially years on end, there is going to be some carryover, right? Like, it's just silly to think that it's not possible. When you get a short-term effect, why couldn't there be long-term effects that come with it? Even at the very least, let's just say you don't ever get a smaller waist by using one. Okay. You're at least preventing getting a bigger one, without a doubt, by utilizing one. And so I've used one. I get one on Amazon. It's like a 20 or 30 bucks. I get the smallest size. It's an extra small. I tend to have a tiny waist, like in terms of bone structure, so I can do that, but my stomach does protrude just a little bit. But either way, that's the one I utilize. I like it super tight, and that's how I rock it. Okay. And so that's that. I wear it while I lift. I wear everything. And realistically, guys, those are going to be my 4 things that I would recommend if you want a smaller waist. There's not much outside of that, in my opinion, that could really help, but those are going to be the main pillars. And if I had to put it in an order of importance, it would be food, then the vacuums, and then the waist trainer. Being lean is just a non-negotiable. All right, guys. So I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions or concerns, hit them in the comments below. And if you need me, TommyPomatico@gmail.com or Tommy_Pomatico. Till next time.